While you are designing your program, there is a 5-step formula I'd like to share with you that can help you to make your life so much easier. I came up with this formula. You won't find this anywhere else in the world, okay? I call this the FROLL Formula, which is F-R-O-L-L. Each of these stands for one word. F stands for first. Is when you first meet your audience, your introduction. Have you ever sat in a workshop where somebody, the trainer comes in and straight away starts on the subject, okay, welcome, and then he starts talking about the program or this course, and you're still not even ready. You're like, I started? Have you had this? Or they come and say, good morning, everybody. I want to hear a loud good morning. Okay, good morning. Always shout at the top of your voices. And you feel like, I hate doing this. Have you felt this before? Have you experienced this before? I think this is nonsense. Or sometimes you go and that fellow or the girl, she's got a slide about herself with a picture of herself by the side, and then 20 things about who I am. And they use their pointer and they're reading one by one. I went to school in this town, and then I got 3 A's, 2 B's, and failed 2 subjects in SPM, O levels. And then they keep going on until the end. By the time they go to the 5th line, they're already you're already yawning. When is this going to finish? Let me tell you, these are all the wrong things of doing when you're starting, because you're not going to inspire people. You know how to inspire people? I give you a 5-step formula. 5 ways to start. Have you heard these people say start with a bang? When you watch James Bond movies, you know James Bond, right? Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Pierce Brosnan. These are all the great actors who acted in the James Bond. Now, if you watch a James Bond, you'll notice one thing. You don't believe me, just go back and watch any of these James Bond movies, you'll find one thing. Within the first 5 minutes of the movie starting, first 5 minutes, there'll be some big action where, maybe James Bond comes or not, but there will be some action, there'll be some shooting, there will be a helicopter crash or a car chase within the first 5 minutes. It's not in the middle of the movie, it's in the beginning. Now ask yourself, why do you think they make a movie like this? Why don't they just start slow? James Bond having a cup of coffee with his girlfriend in a cafe, chit-chatting. You won't see that, because that is not interesting. So what the movie makers know is that they want to catch you from the beginning, capture your attention. So what if we can do that with an opening where people go like, wow. Not wow, but wow in an excited way. You've got to make them excited. How do you do that? I'm going to show this. Very simple. First, it's called the EQ. Enrolling question. What is an enrolling question? It's asking people a question for which they will say yes. Let me give you an example. When I start my Train the Trainer course on the first day, my 5 days course, I just stand there and I will just ask them, raise your hands if you like to become an awesome trainer. And while I say that, I will also raise my hand. What do you think the rest of the people will do? Let's see. They'll raise their hands. If you're doing something on financial literacy, how to become a millionaire on the Malaysian stock market, for example, you say, raise your hands if you like to make more money without spending a single cent extra, or without earning a single cent extra. Wait, can I see a show of hands? And then people raise their hands. Now, it must be a question that people will definitely say yes. Of course, you've got to tailor the question to your topic and what the audience are there for. Don't ask an irrelevant question. So the enrolling question is, remember this, it is something that will make people want to say yes. When I'm doing a program for kids, I do this memory and Study Smart workshop, I asked the students, raise your hands if you'd like to become the top student in class. All the students put their hands up. This is how I get them. I get it, go like, huh? You know what's the response I'm getting? I'm getting them to say, me too. Me too. Yes, I. You might say, but why ask people to raise hands? Why don't you say, well, who wants to become a great student? Or who wants to become an awesome trainer? Yeah, I can ask that like a rhetorical question, but I don't see their response. So when I say raise your hands, they raise their hands. That means, you know what? I am getting a bonding with them. They feel they are connected with me from the very start. The second step, we call this a quick win. You know what quick win is? A quick win is to tell people, why you? What have you done in the past that make you qualified to stand here? Like for example, when in my TTT class or train the trainer class, I just say that I have trained more than 85,000 people. People go, oh, okay, that's interesting. Just one sentence. You don't go on for next 10 minutes boasting about your achievements. Give them your best achievement, what you have done that will make them feel that you are qualified. The third is, I call it greet, welcome, and thank. Most people will put that here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my session. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just that it's so normal that almost everyone is doing. So what is so special about it? What is that people say, wow, that's interesting. See, when we do in this format, here we capture the attention. Here you tell them why now you say, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to my session. Thank you for coming, and I really appreciate your presence here. Point is, we are being a good host. You are the host, so you got to welcome your guest. They're your guest. So, but you say, if I just say good morning, is it enough? Well, not enough, because you got to make them feel at home. You say welcome. If somebody comes to your house, what do? Welcome to my house. Don't you do that? And don't you even say, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me for lunch. So this is being a good host. Remember, people take actions based on feelings. So you want them to know, like, and trust you. Here, this is the likability factor. You're building the likability factor. Make them to like you. And then fourth, you give them your own name. Well, it's very straightforward. My name is. And the fifth step is your credentials. Now you might wonder, what's the difference between quick win and credentials? They're very similar. Quick win is what you have done in the past that you have won. That means I've done something like this. Here could be what you have achieved, for example, your qualifications. What makes you qualified to train me? And please keep in mind, the ideal number for this is 3. You could have 20 things you want to talk about yourself. Please don't do that, because you're going to bore people to death. 3 is just nice. 1 maybe too little, 2 is all right, but 3 is just nice. Just nice. Tell them 3 strong reasons why I must listen to you. So if you did this in this sequence, you know what? Your opening is going to be something people remember. And most importantly, do you believe that the opening is very essential? If you do this wrong, or you come up with a very weak opening, or you don't excite them, or you try to excite them by asking, how are you all doing today? Which is an insincere statement, you're going to lose them. People are going to go into a mode of thinking like, oh, this is going to be so boring, or this fellow is going to be too much of hype, whatever it is. You don't want to set a negative environment or a negative setting for them. You want them to feel excited. You want people to open their minds. Do you know something? That the mind is like a parachute. You know why do I say the mind is like a parachute? Because can you imagine somebody jumps down from a plane and his parachute doesn't open? That's going to be his last jump, isn't it? So just like that, if your parachute does not open, somebody's going to die. The mind is just like that. When it's not open, it's not working. So you have to open your audience's mind. And from the start, not halfway through, from the start you have to open it. So you've got to set the expectations right. You get to get them excited. You got to make them want to learn from you. Remember this, you must make them want. And I call this making them hungry. Making them hungry for what you teach. If you can make them hungry, you know what? Your job is done. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're reaching them. A lot of times, you've got to keep this in mind. When you're designing your program, you must put things in place that will make them excited and make them hungry for what you're teaching. The second thing is called R in our FROLL formula, which stands for review. When we teach something new and we do not have reinforcement through repetition, people are going to forget. How many times have you learned something and told yourself, I must remember this is so important in my life and I need this? The next day, maybe not the next day, after 10 minutes you forgot what it is. It happens to all of us because our brains have two kinds of memory. One is called the short-term and one is the long-term memory. And a lot of times, things that go into a short-term memory is just there for a couple of seconds and maybe a couple of minutes or maybe a couple of hours. That's as far as your short-term memory can hold the information. But what is in your long-term memory is there forever. For example, can you try and forget your name for 5 seconds? You say, no, I can't. Why? Because it's part of your long-term memory. So if you want to transfer something to people's long-term memory, you have to do reviews, which is after you have stated a point, you have explained it, and before you move on to the next, you do a recap by testing them, checking what they have learned, asking them, do you have any questions? Can I help you some more? What do you think is lacking in what I've shared with you today? Do that. And you summarize it for them. And in a nutshell, let me explain to you again, this is what it is. Can we move on to the next? If you did a review, every time you cover a new point, you know something. You will be able to make them to remember, because that's essential. What's the point of you going on and people don't remember what you've shared with them, right? So O is we call is outstanding. Whether you like it or not, whatever you're teaching will be taught by other people as well. You will not be so unique in that sense. You're like, oh, I'm the only one who teaches leadership. Or I'm not, even memory, which is a very uncommon topic. I'm not the only one who's teaching memory. Even in our country, Malaysia, I'm not the only one. There are few people, of course, not that many. Not like leadership, you probably have thousands of people doing that. For memory, you might have 10 people. So what is it that I bring to the table? What can I make myself unique? What can I add on? I got to ask that. What can I like make it special? Maybe it could be a framework. Maybe it is my stories. Maybe it's the activity. Maybe it's my own ideas about this. You could be teaching a generic topic like leadership or customer service, which is so common, so many people are teaching. But you may have your unique way of presenting it. You might have creative, for example, you say, I have a STAR framework for customer service. Maybe you created that, which makes it people, oh, I can remember the STAR formula. There you have it. So are you able to do that? So that's how you become outstanding. Of course, you really have to understand your subject, to be able to grasp what it is you want to share with people, be clear about it, but you need to have a unique bend to it. What makes you stand out in the marketplace? L. The first L stands for link. Very frequently you see trainers dishing out concepts. For example, they say 15 ways to be a great trainer, or 10 characteristics of fantastic leaders, and they have all the bullet points in their PowerPoint and they're just showing one after the other, which is very conceptual. For example, to be a good leader, they say you must lead with the heart. Okay. You must also be a good listener. A great leader develops other leaders. And your audience are just going like, no impact at all. But if you ask them a question, who do you know in your life, maybe your colleague or your manager, who is a bad listener? They will tell you, this one. And you say, why do you think he's a bad listener? How do it make you feel? I hate it. Really? But then tell me, how do you think a good listener can help you in your life? And they tell you the reasons, and now you share with them how to be a great listener. You know what? They will take that seriously. Because you know why? You have given them a reason to learn this. You have linked it back to their workplace or the real life situation, personal or professional life. That's linking. And finally, like the first F is first, the last L, you might have guessed it, is last. So what is last? It's the closing. Just like people make mistakes in the opening, there's so many wrong ways to close. Let me share them some with you. The worst of all closing is where they don't close even. They finish the last slide in the presentation and say, okay, that's it, and then just walk out. And they go somewhere else, and that's it. So people are, it's so abrupt. It's like as if it's already ended. So there must be a proper wrap up. A good closing is to wrap up. And you know what? Remember, we said that aim for connection, not perfection. People are emotional creatures. You start off on an emotional high, you must also close on an emotional high as well, because you want them to walk out feeling that they are energized, feeling that inspired to go and take action. If you can do that, your closing is fantastic. So the other wrong way of closing is, other wrong ways are, one is to say, any questions? See, the closing is not the time for Q&A. Q&A should have come after each section you have done and you have answered their questions. Asking people Q&A, it is like an anti-climax, because you are now coming for a closing. You know, in most of my training, when I close people, they naturally applaud. Naturally. You know why? It's the way I make them feel. I will know they're going to applaud. I don't have to guess. I don't say, I hope they applaud. I know they will applaud. They will clap for me, because it's the way I close. Let me show you how I close. And it is so, in my case, I think it's very inspiring. You tell me whether it is. So how do you close? I call it a 3-step process. Of course, the first step is very simple. You summarize. Okay, and then second step is you reiterate the opening phrase. Let me explain to you. Summarize is where you don't have to summarize everything. You don't have to go from, let's say it's a 3 days program, you don't summarize, okay, on day 1, we did this. You know, it might take you half an hour just to summarize the first day session. That's not what you do. You take certain highlights of what you have covered, and then you say, on day one, ladies and gentlemen, you remember we did this. And as you know how you can apply this in your life is this way. And in day two, we covered these points. And day three today, we have covered these points. And these are the things I would like you to keep in mind and take back, so that always keep this as some way of improving your life and changing your results. Next, reiterate the opening statement. This is something where you go back to the enrolling question and you come back and you use it again. For example, let's say in my case, I said, raise your hands, you'd like to become an awesome trainer. So now I say, now ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, if you were to apply at least some of the strategies I've shared with you here today, you will be definitely on your way to become an awesome trainer. You know why? This to build up the emotions. And last step is called call to action. Short form is CTA, call to action. You might think, now they have learned all this, they'll go and they'll act on it. They won't. So sometimes we have to tell people what to do. So you call them to act. Not by forcing them, you say, you must do it. No. But you do it in such a way that people feel inspired and energized to go into it. Like, let's say you're teaching financial planning, right? How to become rich by doing financial planning. So let's say you've taught them how to go and do stock market trading. And maybe you taught them how to do savings. And maybe you also taught them how to buy properties. Okay. Now you use the CTA, or the call to action. Say, now ladies and gentlemen, we have learned how the stock market works and the techniques of how you can study the market and how you can actually make wiser decisions. And then also we have to learn how to save money rather than just spending, how to be careful of the money that we are earning, and also what are the investments we can go into that are safe, at the same time pays you good returns. Ladies and gentlemen, I share with you this because I have seen it work in my life, and it has helped so many people to become millionaires and at least become rich. And I know, ladies and gentlemen, with these techniques, you will be on your way to become a millionaire. Thank you. Now that is a call to action. That's how we call people to act. Not by forcing them, not by half-hearted kind of, thank you very much for coming everybody. Hope you enjoy the day. Not like that. You must close with oomph. You open with gusto, you close it just as inspirational. And if you do that, you know what? The impact on them will be always remembered by them.